Hello YouTube, SilverContrail here with another video for Team Smash You. And Team Smash You is going to locals. I know, I can't believe it either. It's our first locals of the year, only local of the format. And really excited for it. Really looking forward to hopefully not losing. And sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. It should be interesting to get a taste of competitive play for once, since we haven't really been in a tournament since regionals, and that was last format. So, about what I'm running, I chose to run Dragunity, not for any particular reason, I guess, but I felt like I was very confident with Dragunity, very confident playing it, and confident that I could overcome a lot of the weaknesses that it has. Plus, it might be the last time I get to play it before the format changes, so I felt like going back to it. It's a deck type that I have completely built, but I never really did it much justice. So, deck profiling. I'm running a pretty standard lineup, which I'll run through real quickly, and then I'll pull out the interesting cards. So, triple Dux. Triple Phalanx. Triple Legionare, two Aklys. I just dropped a couple cards. Zephyros, which is pretty much a staple right now because it allows for Trishula access. Two Breaker. This is a tech choice of mine, and I'll explain that a little later. Effect Veiler, DD Crow, and as for spells, 3 Ravine, 3 Terraforming, 2 Cards of Consonance. People aren't running Cards of Consonance right now, but I really like this. If you open with Cards of Consonance and a tuner, you don't even need Ravine, because you're probably going to draw into a Dux or a Legionnaire, and you'll be able to make plays off of that alone. This keeps you from losing if your one Ravine that you have gets MST'd. 2 Avarice. I'm going to be sad to lose one of these Avarices next format, but right now they're very good. I don't suggest going to Quill Pens right away. I've seen some people do that, but I don't think it's that time yet. 2 MST, Giant Trunade, Dark Hole, Monster Reborn, Book of Moon. Traps, 2 Warning, Judgment, Mirror Force, D-Prison, Call the Haunted, Fiendish Chain, which I'll talk about, and the real cool card here, Safe Zone. And so I'll go over my side deck too before I go over too much into my main deck choices. For side deck, I'm siding a single Effect Veiler. This could easily be a DD Crow, but I'd rather side the Veiler against possible Tour Guide. Exterminations. Extermination is part of my side decking theory for Dragunity, where I'm running counter side deck choices. If this thing hits your Chain Disappearance, I don't have to worry about it the rest of the duel. And it just hits big back rows and stuff. 2 Cyber Dragons. Go in against machines, goes in against decks that I need to bait out cards with, or something like Gravekeepers where this thing can beat over most of your cards. Chimera Tech's also on the side. Malefic Stardust Dragon. I see a lot of people maining this. I don't know for sure if I would want to. It's a good card this format if people, if people aren't going to MST your Ravine right away. You could see some people not do that. Especially if game 1, if they're not MSTing your Ravine, they're waiting till you activate the effect. You just side these guys in, and then they get screwed because they're waiting to MST it when you activate it, and you're like, nope, summon this guy, and they're like, okay, my MSTs are dead. Dust Tornado against rogue stuff, against Gravekeepers. Just extra spell and trap removal. Forbidden Lance. goes in against TG mostly, and some anti-meta. It wrecks that matchup so hard. It wrecks Horn, TG1, EM1, all that fun stuff. Keeps my monsters safe from deprison most of the time. Debunk. Love Debunk. Stops Effect Veiler, stops DD Crow, stops Max C, stops Gore, stops Dragodia, stops a ton of floaters. And it's just a nice card to have. Hero's Rule is my second debunk because I don't actually have a second debunk, although I could probably get one. It stops DD Crow, it doesn't stop Veiler or Max C, but it does stop some other things that debunk doesn't stop. Targeting effects in the graveyard, and there are a lot of decks that do target cards in the graveyard. With spell traps monsters. I mean, this thing can negate Monster Reborn. So, you know, whatever. And Kinetic Soldier. It's my only real Sam hate that I have in here. I might change this for Max C. I'm very much on the fence about it. Or even a second DD Crow, something. Maybe even a third Effect Veiler. I don't know. I'm still very on the fence about this guy because he eats my normal summon. So like I said, I have some interesting main deck choices that I wanted to go over and see what opinions I can get on them. The first is Two Breaker. If I activate Ravine while they have face downs, there's a good chance I'm going to lose it to an MST. So if I summon Breaker first, not only does Breaker bait out every single warning and effect veiler that they have, which is always hilarious to see, because I'd rather get this thing warning or effect veiler instead of my Dux or my Legionnaire. But it also hits the back row. So if they like set a monster or summon a monster and then set a back row, and I'll use its effect and I'll pop the back row. And a lot of times it's an MST. You'd be surprised how easy it is to get people to set their MSTs when you're playing Dragunity, because they're always waiting on you to activate Ravine. And what Breaker does is it punishes players for doing that. Because I can blind MST them, and they might still have a face down, but then I can summon this and go after them even more. It does eat my normal summon, but I think it's a good card. The alternative would be running Cyber Dragon, and it doesn't do what I want it to do. Breaker solves a lot of problems as well. It hits a lot of problem cards like Oppression and Necro Valley and that stuff. And it can suicide with like Ryo. Effect Veiler and Crow, I'm running one copy of each. They have their ups and downs in different matchups, obviously, which is why I side the extra Veiler, because Veiler is, I think, a better card overall. But having both is kind of nice from what I've seen so far. It just lets me have those more varied plays. You know, Crow stops a lot of things in the matchup. Effect Veiler stops a lot of things in other matchups. And it's just nice to have both game one. Fiendish Chain is basically another Effect Veiler, but it protects my Stardust even more. So if they summon a big monster like Hyperion, I can just flip Chain and keep it stuck in one spot until I make a Scrap Dragon next turn, pop Chain, pop their monster. It's a good card. I thought about running two, but I chose to run this instead. So Safe Zone's a really, really neat card, and there's a lot of combos you can do with it. Unfortunately, I got like a minute and a half. So Safe Zone, basically you flip it, target a monster you control. That monster cannot be targeted by opponent's card effects, destroyed by opponent's card effects, or be destroyed by battle. So if I throw that around a Stardust Dragon, that's going to keep that Stardust Dragon safe from just about everything. The only downside to this strategy is that if Safe Zone's destroyed, the monster equipped to it is destroyed. And Stardust can't negate Safe Zone trying to destroy it. That works for me because I can chain Safe Zone to an MST and target a monster and pop that monster, which is awesome. But against me, because if I have Stardust out, all they have to do is MST it, and then I'm going to get screwed. However, just because they go to MST, that doesn't mean that I can't sack Stardust off by its effect. The downside of that is Giant Trunade and Brionac are still in this game. And if they go to Trunade this, I'm going to get screwed, because it's going to go to my hand. There's nothing Stardust can do to stop that. So usually I don't like activating it if I think they still have Trunade, because I don't want to lose my Stardust. But otherwise, if you play this proactively and just play it almost as soon as you summon it, then it's going to be good every time. So that's all I have. My video just hit 10 minutes. I don't know if I can upload it, but I will try. I think it's an interesting build. Playing the Protect the Stardust game is still good in this format. It's going to be good next format as well. But I think with the choices that I have, I sort of have like an anti-side deck. And I think I have a pretty solid main deck against most players. I don't think players are going to see this deck coming, and they're not going to be prepared for it in their main deck. The problem is that it's pretty easy to prepare for in your. You don't actually have to prepare for it because most of the cards in your side deck are going to work against it. Anyways, I hope to do good. Either way, I'm going to be posting a video of things I learned at locals afterwards, and hopefully I don't get screwed, but can't be worse than 3 MST and Heavy Storm. So until next time then.